The hero of our story today is a former athlete who was once at the top of his game. He was unstoppable, talented, and young, but after an unexpected injury that cut his career short, he found himself stuck in his own personal prison. A prisoner of fear. Will he ever make it out? Let's find out. Hi, I'm here to introduce you to a special new series called Overcoming. Each week, we'll bring you stories of courage and resilience from around the world. Stories of people just like you who have faced extraordinary challenges and emerged even stronger than before. People say only the good die young, but that saying doesn't apply to Marcus Wilson. At 29, he wasn't just successful, he was on top of the world. As the captain of the New York Knights, he led his team to numerous victories. With his exceptional skills and leadership qualities, he was already being talked about as a future Hall of Famer. His posters adorned teenagers' bedroom walls, and kids tried to emulate his every move on the court. His face was regularly featured on the covers of sports magazines, and endorsements from major brands poured in. Yet Marcus remained humble. Despite his fame and fortune, he was known for his humility and dedication to his craft. He was always the first to arrive at training and the last to leave. To his teammates, he was more than just a captain. He was a brother, a friend, someone they could rely on both on and off the court. They respected him, admired him, and loved him. But fate, it seemed, had other plans for Marcus. The lights of Madison Square Garden illuminated the sky on a cold November night. The crowd cheered wildly as the game neared its end. Marcus Wilson, the star player of the New York Knights, was leading his team to victory in the decisive match, but in the final moments, as he jumped to take the shot, his foot twisted and he crashed onto his knee. A sharp, sickening sound echoed, followed by searing pain shooting through his leg. The crowd fell silent, and all Marcus could hear was his own scream. At the hospital, the doctor delivered the crushing news. You'll never be able to return to the courts, Marcus. The injury is too severe. Those words hung in the air, heavy and final like a death sentence. Marcus's world, which until that moment had been filled with the roar of the crowd and the thrill of the game, suddenly turned cold and silent. Days turned into weeks, and the cheers of the crowd were replaced by the hum of the refrigerator in his now empty apartment. The silence was deafening. It pressed against him, suffocating him, reminding him of his loss. He couldn't bear to stay in that apartment. So he checked into a hotel. There, surrounded by strangers, he cried himself to sleep every night. After weeks of surgery and rehab, Marcus returned to his luxurious Manhattan apartment, but he was no longer the same man. He began avoiding people, refusing to leave his home, terrified of everything. Even the ringing of the phone made him tremble. For Marcus, the vibrant world he once thrived in had transformed into a minefield of triggers. The city he once roamed with confidence was now a labyrinth of anxiety. Every street corner, every restaurant, every television screen was a reminder of what he'd lost. Over time, the outside world receded even further into the distance, as Marcus retreated deeper into his apartment. Food delivery cartons piled up, newspapers stacked at the door, and unanswered emails flooded his inbox. He lived in a self-imposed exile, haunted by the echoes of his past. One evening, as darkness fell, Marcus sat alone in his apartment, watching a basketball game on television. The players on the screen moved with the fluid grace that he used to possess, their every move a testament to the athleticism he had once taken for granted. Tears streamed down his face as he saw his own reflection in their performance, a stark reminder of what he had lost. Suddenly, a loud crash from downstairs made him jump. His heart raced as he imagined the worst. Was it an intruder? Was he finally going crazy? The questions swirled in his head, each one louder than the last. Unable to bear the torment any longer, he picked up the phone and dialed 911. But as the operator calmly asked him for his address, he realized something profound. It wasn't fear of the physical world that was holding him captive. It was fear of himself, fear of his own vulnerability, and fear of the future that lay ahead. Years passed, and Marcus became a recluse. He sold his penthouse and moved to a quiet neighborhood in Brooklyn. His days were spent rewatching his old games on TV, only to break down when the footage showed his fateful fall. His only friend, Daniel Carter, visited him every week, trying to pull him out of his isolation. Asterisk. Marcus, you can't give up like this. Life isn't over. But Marcus would shake his head. Asterisk, it's not failure I'm afraid of. Daniel, it's trying again and failing once more. Asterisk, Daniel, a true friend, refused to give up on Marcus. He understood that the road to recovery was a long and winding one, much like a basketball court, and there would be many missed shots along the way. He was patient, persistent, and hopeful. Daniel knew that Marcus was stronger than his fear, so he kept coming back, bringing with him little reminders of the world outside, little sparks of joy that could potentially ignite a fire in Marcus's heart once more. One day, Daniel brought an article about a sports clinic being held in town. Seeing the smiling faces of the children, it reminded him of why Marcus loved the game so much. Maybe it was time for Marcus to get back into the game. Not as a player, but as a mentor. This idea sparked a tiny flame of excitement in Marcus's eyes. Was this something he could possibly do? In the quiet confines of his room, surrounded by the ghosts of his past, Marcus started journaling. He wrote about his feelings, his fears, his regrets, and slowly, very slowly, he began to heal. He realized that fear had become his prison, but he was also its warden. The key to his freedom was in his hands, but he had been too afraid to reach for it. Now, though with the support of his friends, he was starting to feel a flicker of hope. Like a tiny ember, it grew stronger with each passing day. Then came the day when he decided to take a step outside. The sun warmed his skin. The wind tousled his hair. And for a moment, he felt truly alive. He took another step, then another, and before he knew it, he was walking. One day, Daniel suggested Marcus visit a therapist specializing in anxiety disorders. Her name was Dr. Elena Ramirez, a Spanish woman in her mid-30s, with long dark hair and warm eyes. During their first session, Marcus sat in silence, staring at the floor. Asterisk Marcus, tell me, what's the worst scenario you're afraid of? Elena asked. He answered in a whisper, Asterisk, that everyone finds out. I'm weak. Asterisk. Elena worked with him slowly, asking him to journal his thoughts, then dissecting his fears one by one. In one session, she gave him a challenge. Go to a basketball court and sit there for just 5 minutes. Marcus went to a small court near his home. His hands shook as he heard the sound of a bouncing ball. He closed his eyes, reliving the painful memories. Weeks later, Elena pushed him further. Asterisk Marcus, go back to your old court. Stand at center court. She and Daniel accompanied him. As Marcus stood where he had fallen years ago, his heart raced, but this time he didn't run. It was a long and arduous journey, but under Elena's guidance, Marcus began to confront his fear. She taught him to challenge his negative thoughts, to question his assumptions, and to reframe his perspective. Slowly but surely, the walls around his heart began to crumble, revealing the strong, resilient man he had once been. A year later, Marcus was a changed man. He addressed a group of students at a local high school. Asterisk. Today, I've chosen to set myself free. In the back of the room, Elena smiled. After the lecture, Marcus approached her. Asterisk. Thank you. You gave me my life back. Elena replied, Asterisk. No, Marcus. You freed yourself. You're the real hero. Asterisk. Marcus never returned to professional basketball, but he founded a center to help athletes overcome mental barriers. Daniel became his business partner, and Elena their consulting psychologists. One day, as Marcus watched a group of children practicing, he told them, Asterisk. Fear may be the strongest jailer, but the key to freedom is in your hands. All you have to do is choose to use it. Asterisk. And so the story of Marcus unfolds, reminding us that while fear may sometimes feel like an inescapable prison, it's within our power to break free. With the right support and a willingness to confront our demons, we can rewrite our stories. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to check out our other videos. And if you're inspired by Marcus's journey, consider sharing your own story with us. Who knows, your story might be the next one to inspire thousands. Thank you for watching. See you next time.